Hey, friend.
Hello, Julie. We are live.
We are live. Hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of Beauty for Ashes
We've been
with
doing
Julie
the
J
past.
and Salentia M. I'm on here looking like my mama.
Yes, you are Claire May Rogers, and I look a little bit like Cookie, don't I?
Yes, indeed, because she had flavor and color and flair. And my mama had a red afro.
Yes, she did.
Yes.
And hoop earrings too, right?
And the big, yep, and the hoop earrings. This was, I've been on the Timu trail,
Ooh, ooh,
scoring the Timu holes. And so this
girl.
was one of the Timu holes.
Yes.
I know y'all used to seeing me in Salt and Pepper, but
Just
uh,
send me the purple link. That's all I have.
yeah. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, I will get that done. It's funny. Part of self care when you're going through health issues and things like that is to be kind to yourself. And so a couple of things are coming up. One, uh, you know, as I've shared before, there's some health challenges that I'm going through. I'm doing extremely well.
And
And
looking extremely good, if
well,
I
thank
might
you,
say
ma'am.
so
Thank you very, very
myself.
much. Thank you very much. Um, it is that thing of allowing myself. I think I'm so well rested. I look so good because I have slept more since being diagnosed with this thing than I have my entire life. I have lived a very a life that was poor sleep. I've not been a person to sleep well.
Yes.
I've been a worrier and I have been afraid. And, there are people who talk about the metaphysical or the spiritual connection between dis-ease and your health and,
Mm-hmm.
and your spirit. And, and I found it very interesting that, where Mr. C decided to show up is in the colon area. And when we have dis-ease in the colon, the
Mm-hmm.
spiritual or metaphysical, that means don't go get all mad and text me about stuff, y'all, and DM me. I'm not into Eastern philosophy, but I'm talking about the cause of a thing above the physical, thus the metaphysical.
Okay.
And the metaphysical cause of disease in the colon is fear. That's
Mm.
as an herbalist, I've been helping people with herbs and health and nutrition for the last 35 years of my life. And so when I'm sitting and I'm talking with clients and they start running off their symptoms and where these ailments are coming up, if they've got
Mhm.
a heart problem, I ask the question, what is breaking your heart?
Yeah.
If they've got back and shoulder problems, I ask, why are you wearing the weight of the world on your shoulders?
Woo.
You know, um, if it's a
Let it
blood pressure
go.
issue, how is life
Yes.
pressuring you? Where can you relieve the pressure? If it's an immune system, what is suppressing you?
Mm-hmm.
What's holding you back, holding you down? And what we learn too is that we heal in three levels and always in the same order. We heal spiritually, we heal mentally, and then we finally heal physically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so as a person who has apprehended the love of God for me,
Mm.
and then knowing that, having that inner spirit and knowing the love of God as my heavenly Father for me, this same Father God who says that a tiny little sparrow, of which there are millions, cannot fall from the sky and it not capture his attention.
Yes.
If he cares that much for a sparrow, how much more does he care for me?
Yes. Yes.
And so I've gotten it. So when this physical malady hit me, I had already apprehended my healing in the spirit. I had already apprehended that certain things and thoughts that I had, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, abandonment. And We've talked about this past broadcast when the ex said to me, "Every man that you're with leaves you. What is the common denominator between you and the men?" And then, with feelings hurt, I actually started to go back in my history with every relationship and
Mm-hmm.
realized that it wasn't true. There
Hmm.
was only one that left me. There was only one. All
Right.
the others, I actually stood up for myself and said, I don't like how you're treating me. And if this is how it's going to be, then I don't want the relationship.
Come on.
They just didn't chase me. They just said, all right, and
All
let
right.
me go. That is not abandonment. So this person was only able to use that emotional weapon against me because I handed it to him. I gave him the gun and he
Mm-hmm.
just shot me with it. But it was a blessing because, see, what the enemy intends for evil, God always intends for good. And in
Yes.
the course of, it took me 60 years, 50 some years. But the fact is, I had perpetuated that lie to myself
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then retold it over and over and over again. And God was gracious enough to reveal to me that I had told myself an untruth. And I
Mm-hmm.
bring that up because the source of not sleeping and not being a good sleeper was never being able to rest in peace. Because how do you rest in peace if you are fearful all the time? And as a woman and as a girl, um, how do you find your strength, your peace, your sense of safety without your father?
Mm.
How does that work?
Hmm.
I know you and I are very different. We are very different because one thing I know about you is the first thing you want to do when you're worried or depressed is actually go to sleep. You sleep more. You put your head on that pillow and you're gone. I am the exact opposite. I sit up all night staring at the ceiling, pacing the floor, wondering, worrying, and all of that. And again, don't start DMing.
Actually, I used to do when I suffered from depression, which was
Mhm.
a long while ago now. Um, I used to do both. I would sleep and pace the floor and
See,
sleep
and see,
some
I
more.
was all in. I no sleep. I'm
Yeah,
up
yeah.
6 o'clock in the morning,
Hmm.
writing, weeping, staring at the ceiling, um, and just running myself in the ground
Yes, yes.
and not feeling safe. Just sort of dealing with this sense of there is nobody to defend me.
Okay, so you said something about fathers
Yes.
being protectors,
Yeah.
and that brings us to
Our daddy issues. Welcome, folks,
yeah,
to our daddy issues.
to being like fatherless daughters in a sense.
Yes,
I
exactly.
know I was a
Yeah.
fatherless daughter for most of my life.
Hmm.
I have been.
And
And
you know
you,
what is funny because how do we feel the same way when my father never lived more than 20 minutes away from me
okay,
my
tell your
entire
story.
life?
You go first. You tell your story, your daddy's story, and I'll tell mine. I think on this episode, we'll just get this will be part one. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause I
Yes.
think we're just going to have enough time to get our stories out. And
Yes.
then on the next episode, we can elaborate on how
Yeah,
the
kind of what
effect
that,
they had on their life, on
yeah,
our lives.
yes. I mean,
Yes.
while sharing some of it,
Hmm.
my father, let me start off by saying that uh, no man is perfect, no such thing.
We know
Um,
that.
we know this. No, no, none but one was perfect.
We know that.
Um, and what I will say is, my father, I loved him with everything I had in me.
Hmm. Hmm.
I wanted more than nothing else to be loved by him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And though I saw glimpses of his love, Um, it was decades of begging, decades of searching, decades of little glimpses of hope. Um,
Yes.
because I loved most of what he was like,
Mm.
because he was brilliant, a very, very smart man. If you wanted to know anything about anything or how to find things or anything, like, he was the go-to guy. He
Mm-hmm,
was charming. He was funny as I don't know what. He
wow.
was the guy that entered the room and people, and he just made people smile. And he was
Was he a
conversation.
jokester? Did he like to make jokes
Oh,
and
he was I come from a funny family. I come from a very funny family, the most famous of whom is Hope Flood, who is heading out to the to perform on the Tom Joyner morning cruise, Tom morning show cruise,
yay
um, as
ho,
we speak. Yes.
yay
And
ho,
so, you know,
get it,
and
girl.
hey ho, and safe travels and all of that
Yes,
good stuff. Because let me tell you, my
that's your
cousin,
cousin. Hope is your cousin,
Hope
right?
Flood, is my cousin.
Yes.
Her mother and my father were actually uncle and niece, but
Oh,
my
okay.
father is the baby of 10 kids.
Wow.
And Hope's mom is the baby girl of my father's oldest sister.
Okay.
So there's this huge, 10-15 year gap between my Aunt Lil and my father. And
Mhm.
so Aunt Lil sort of helped raise my father, because
Okay.
she dropped out of school to help my grandmother with then 9 kids. And one child died at very young, about 2 years old, but I still acknowledge that my grandma, because that was a set of twins. So I'm not taking nothing from my me mama. But yeah, so Hope's mom and my father grew up like brother and sister, like cousins, even though they were uncle and niece. They were that close in age.
In age,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And actually Hope's brother, my cousin Pierre, and I are born on the same day, same year, 5 hours apart.
Wow.
We're for real twin cousins.
This sounds
Um,
like in the Bible, begot.
yeah, yeah, the begats. That's all the begats.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my father was a life of the party kind of guy. He was
Mhm.
very, very smart. He had a stellar career in the DC, in the police department, and then the DC public school system. He had all of those things going for him. And I am never one to, you are what you are, you're not what you're not. And so I wanted to begin this conversation with all of the good things that he was,
Yes.
um, because I have moved past being a victim of the dark side of who he was.
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
That's why we can talk about it now.
yeah, exactly. That's
Because
why this
years
conversation can
ago,
actually happen,
yes.
because um, it is those things that our parents are not
Hmm.
sometimes
Hmm.
that lead us down a path that we wouldn't have gone on our own. And we do
Right.
it out of pain, we do it out of trauma, we do it out of those kinds of things. And so, um, this same person who was all those things that I just listed was also a perfectionist, was
Hmm.
narcissistic. And that word is, I'm very, very ginger about that word, because now everybody who just wants things their way is a narcissist. No, they're not. Stop it. Okay? Because people are just human. But
Yes.
was he a person who felt like everything he did was right? And if it wasn't right, he wasn't going to admit it.
Woo.
Um, and that everything he did was justified. Everything flowed through the filter of whether or not it made sense to him.
Uh,
So he was not a
that's a
person.
narcissist.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
yeah.
narcissist.
So he was a genuine narcissistic person. He was duplicitous. So
Hmm.
this is a man who could smile in your face and make you feel like $1 million and walk away and call you out your name.
Whew.
So those who thought that they were close to him weren't as close as they thought they were. And
Okay.
those that were closest to him were the ones he was meanest to.
Okay. Did you grow up with him?
Up until it's sort of a yes and no,
Okay.
because my parents split when I was 10,
Hmm.
and from then, from 10 years old all the way to adulthood, um, up until maybe 10, 15 years before he died, I begged for his love, his time, and his attention. And in
Wow.
the rare times that I actually got it, I always came home sad and depressed. It was so bad that my mom said, "I'm going to stop." She was going to fight to take away his parental rights, and say that I wasn't going to come over his house anymore, because every time I came home from a visit, I was sad and crying and depressed for a week. It would take her a week to get me back on kilter.
I feel like Willow Smith.
Huh.
Oh.
Oh. But
Mhm.
no, it is true.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and it threw me into a position of trying to earn love.
Wow.
Performance-based love was the result. Now,
Mhm.
again, all things work to the good. Performance-based love allowed me to excel and achieve and do things, wonderful things in high school, speaking all over Washington, D.C., 11 internships in journalism. I credit that need to earn things with all of the stuff that I have achieved and accomplished. So, I do have that Joseph heart that says, dude, I forgive you. I don't like what you did. I don't like how you did it. It hurt. But that which the enemy intended for evil, working in the chinks in your armor of, with selfishness, with narcissism,
Mhm.
um, worked to my good,
Yes.
and gave me a compassion for the fatherless daughter.
Yes.
So was he in my life? He was, again, never more than 20 minutes away. Um, he was never, but did he come and pick me up? As an example, uh, today is the 11th anniversary of my father's passing.
Mhm.
And when he died 11 years ago, it had been 25 years from that day to the last time that, and the only time that he and I sat across a dinner table and had a meal together as an adult.
I remember that day because you told me about that.
Yeah.
You said
Uh,
I had dinner with my father,
yep. And I had to pay. The
and I was
only
like,
way I could get him to go out with me, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but I am America's first Black female game show host. I
"Mm-hmm.
had a television show on BET called Tell Me Something Good,
Right,
back in the 80s. And I was America's first Black female game show host. So when people said, I said I'm a game show host, they said, "Oh, like what's the girl who's turning the letters on
Vanna White."
Vanna White, like Vanna White?" And I said, "No, like Pat Sajak," because I was the host. Okay,
Right,
I
right.
was not the co-host. I hosted the show, and at that time, a lot of people don't remember the DC area because only like 30,000 homes were wired for cable back then. This is when cable was very new, and but it was 20 million viewers overall around the
Mm-hmm.
country and around the world. And so here I had achieved this thing. And I said, Dad, I want you to come and be on the set and watch me do the show, because the show went live every
Right.
day, 5 days a week. And the only way I could get him to come and do the show and just sit in the audience, just be on the set, was I promised to pay for his dinner. And we got to dinner, and he actually did make me pay.
Wow.
It had been 11 years. That was the one and only meal that I had with my father in my adult life, just me and him.
Okay.
Sitting across a dinner table for Thanksgiving or a Christmas with me and my then husband and children, it had
Yeah.
been 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
So was he there? Was he physically present? Yes. But was he emotionally and spiritually present? Absolutely not.
Oh wow. So that is our
That's
daddy
that's
issue.
my side.
That's
Your
your
side.
okay. So ours are daddy issues are a little different. Yours was there, but he was not physically, emotionally present,
Right. Unavailable. He was unavailable.
unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, oh, mine is kind of crazy because a lot of people don't know, and some people do know that I call my biological father my alleged father.
Mm.
Yes.
Ooh, that hit me like a
Mhm.
crime. Oh my goodness.
Well, I call him my alleged father because I used to go around and say, my father this, my father that. And one of my mentors asked me, how do you know he's really your father?
Mm. Mm.
You
Mm.
only know what your mother told you. But
Mm-hmm.
has there been proof, a DNA or whatever, that he is your father? So I started, she was like, he really, allegedly, he's your father. So I started calling him my alleged.
This is a family member who used that term.
No, this was one of my mentors.
One of your mentors.
Yeah,
Okay.
she
Okay.
made me think. She really made me think because I kept going around saying my father, my father. I was going on exactly what my mother had always told me all my life. I know
Mhm.
who your father is. I know who I slept with. You know, I know this is your dad. There's no question that this is your dad.
Was he living?
Okay, so my alleged father
Mm.
passed away 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was 40. So it's been a little over 20 years. I was 40 years old. And I never got a chance to sit and talk with him because he never claimed me as
Mm.
his daughter.
Okay.
He never claimed me as his daughter. In fact, I don't like using this word, but he denied me as his daughter.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I had my father, alleged father, denying me as his daughter, and my mother saying, that's your daddy. So there were things told to me by my mother when I was a baby. He came by. He looked in the bassinet and said, I know she's mine, but I'll never say she's mine.
And why was that? Was there a backstory with that? Was he married? Was he, was mom just a hit
Has
and quit? I mean, what in the world?
Well, the alleged father was seeing someone else,
Seeing someone else, not married to someone else.
not married to someone else at that time, I don't
Come
think.
on, y'all. Really? Come on, Dad.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are some other things attached to that, like another
Mm.
baby.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Well, he out being a Rolling Stone.
well, he's alleged, so we don't know.
Yeah. Legend.
He's alleged, so we don't know. Oh, I thank you, God, right now. I'm free.
Look, the fact that we can laugh about this.
Yes, yes. Because,
Yeah.
girl, I could not talk about this for years without crying.
Sure.
Like
Yes.
for years.
Yeah.
You hear somebody. So when I was 18 years old, I ended up, and my mother always says, "Oh, it'll come out. It's gonna come out." His whole
Mhm.
family
The
has
truth will
denied.
out. It will. It will.
So his whole alleged family has denied you, and you being in the DC area, us being in the DC area, DC is so small, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. So I ended up in a program one summer with my alleged half sister.
Mm.
So, because I still don't know now if if we had the same father.
Okay, I just want the record to show that I have seen pictures of your father
Uh-uh.
and pictures of your
Can
son.
you say that? You can't
I'm
say.
trying to
Let
tell
me
you,
finish. Let me finish. My alleged.
Dana.
So,
Will tell the
so
tale.
and I'm really fine with that word alleged now. I'm
Okay.
really fine with it. But I tell you what I'm not fine with later.
Okay.
Okay. But anyway, I ended up in a summer program with my alleged half sister, and I approached her about it. We were both
Mm-hmm.
18, and don't keep your mouth closed. We were both 18. And I asked her, had she ever, she showed me a picture of her father when he was young that she kept in her wallet. And I asked her, had she ever heard that her father and my mother dated? And she said, yeah, I heard that before. I heard of that because we were connected in some other family ways too,
Mm-hmm.
and by marriage.
Yes.
And so she said, yeah, I heard that. I said, had you ever heard that I'm his daughter? And she said, no, I never heard that. He told us we had an older sibling. I said, well, you could have that too.
Right. Yeah.
But but
That
um
that's episode 2, y'all.
yes. So so I told her that my mother had always told me that he was my father. So she said, well, I'm going to talk to him about this. And she did. And for days, she didn't really speak to me. She kept her distance. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, she told me that he denied ever that I was his father. That
He
he
was
was my
he was
father.
he was your
He
father. Yes.
denied
Mm.
her that. And I knew she was a daddy's girl and everything. So I didn't really press it for a while. A couple of times I did. I approached her brother about it. He on the phone one time,
Mm-hmm.
and he practically cursed me out.
Wow.
um yeah, yeah.
Did you have, because we got about 5 more minutes before
Okay.
you gotta get
So
back to class and I've got to
yeah.
roll out.
So my alleged father, um, I saw him because we had a production from that summer, and I looked him dead in the eyes, walked past him. He looked me dead in the eyes and kept going. Then I saw him again at a wedding, and he looked
Wait a
dead.
minute. You all didn't speak to one another?
Maybe he shook his head or something, but
Not?
remember, I'm not his daughter, so
Wow.
so he wouldn't speak to me. But the
That's a wow.
I was even told that he paid someone to say, when they had the DNA test done, he
Mm-hmm.
paid them to say that I was not his daughter.
So there was a Dana done.
There was a DNA done, and my mom said when they got back from doing the DNA, she got a phone call, and the nurse said, if you, it was a male, and he says,
Mm-hmm.
if you say that I told you this, I'm going to deny it. He said, but I felt really bad with you and that pretty little baby.
Mm.
He said he paid me to say that child was not his.
Wow.
So,
And,
and I
and
was
and
like,
I repeat, the devil is a show lie because there is a child of
no, wait.
yours. It looked like the same person in a photograph. That's all I'm
No.
gonna say.
So that's what my mother told me. Bless God, rest her soul, and God rest his soul.
So
I alleged is all I can say. Unfortunately, my alleged half sister is not interested in taking a DNA test. And neither is her brother. I've never approached her sister, so her other
well, the
sister.
wonderful thing about that is since and especially now that technology has advanced so
Right,
far,
right.
you don't need none of them. Okay. You will be able to find, because in our next episode, we
Mm-hmm.
will be talking about siblings and how this space of fatherlessness not
Yeah.
only affected us and
Yes.
ask the question about different ways that there's signs that you are affected by not having, because we often talk about our boys not
Yeah.
having fathers.
Right.
But you don't hear a lot of conversation, especially since you and I grew up in the era of when you think about it, we grew up in the era with the first wave of particularly Black women
Mm-hmm.
who were crazy enough to join the women's rights movement,
Mm-hmm.
and for the very first time in history, tell our men that they are unnecessary. My grandmother used to say all the time, she died at 98 years old.
Not that
And
that's true, but
yeah,
we
yeah.
told them.
She died at 98 years
No, I
old.
mean that they are unnecessary.
Yeah, none of which was true. And,
Right.
and and this was the point. She said there's only two truly free people in this country, meaning the United States. She said a
Mm-hmm.
white man, because he has the money and the power, and a Black woman, because she has always been able to get 2-3 jobs. Whoops, to her, I lost the earring, y'all. 2 or 3 jobs to her man's one.
Right.
And she's always had the ear of the white man.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't saying no names. One rhymes with ice, okay, and the other one rhymes with, I don't know what rhymes with Harris, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Right.
and of course the conversation between Sojourner Truth and Abe Lincoln, we got history that follows the
That's a
influence
good one
of
right
Black
there.
women.
That's a good one. That's
That's
Sojourner Truth.
Sojourner Truth.
She went to meet with Abe Lincoln so he could
That's right.
give free
And
arms to the Negroes in the North so they could fight in the South,
yes,
so they
ma'am.
could fight in the Union.
I
Woo!
make I make Miss Julia's a point with
Yeah.
just that. And so in the 70s, for the very first time, well, it's not the very first, because we joined white women in the suffragette movement
Yes.
and got them to vote. And then the minute they got the vote, the first thing they did was voted with their men to take the vote away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
No,
very much, Jim Crow.
yes.
And
Yes.
then we jumped in there because we wanted equal pay. We wanted a lot of things too. So I'm not saying that was not the case, but we for whatever reason, with our free selves and our ability to be able to be entrepreneurs, earn and do the
Mm-hmm.
things, though labor and menial things, we were able to accomplish great things while still having our men in the house, while still getting married, while still having children, and while still letting our men know that they were a valuable component in our lives. But we made this fatal mistake as women, and particularly as Black women, of telling our men that they were not necessary. And now we sit today where 85% of Black women are single without their men, to 45, 55% of white women.
Yes.
Just saying, and off of the soapbox. But
Just
the fact is that you and I were the first wave of children to be latchkey kids and to grow up in single parented homes.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
With
you're
the
right.
backdrop of grandparents and aunts and others who were married for long periods of time. And so we started. So, guys, this conversation started with Salentia and I, and we're going to continue in part 2.
We're going to continue with who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
Who your dad?
Who your daddy? Where your daddy at?
Oh, I'm just so thankful I can talk about this now.
Yes,
It is with a heart full of love. My heart is open
and healing,
and healed.
And we want you guys to know how you can get to that place too.
Yes.
So
yes.
if in fact this conversation has triggered you in any way, and you want to even put some input in, just shoot me an email at askjulie@beautyismyname.com.
Yes.
And I can tell you that when we return,
we will be calling no names.
We'll be calling no names.
But
we don't
if
have
you,
to call no
if
names.
you message me, I will answer.
That too.
Yeah.
So, and nobody's scared, okay?
It might not be the answer you want.
But it might very well be that this is a conversation that
yes.
you want to be a part of. This is a conversation that you want to impart. So use that email, and I would love to hear what you have to say.
Okay, you gotta go. I gotta go.
You got to go. I got to
Yes.
go. We got to go. But we'll see you next time on another episode of Beauty for Ashes. And this round, we're talking about daddy issues and
Who's your dad?
who's your daddy. Talk again soon.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye bye.
Bye.